Montana snow fell silent and thick. The night Claire Hartley stumbled into Jack Morgan's barn, a calf frozen and running on nothing but fear and desperation. She collapsed beside his paint horse, her fancy dress torn and muddy, her auburn hair wild around her shoulders. Blood stained her legs where she'd fallen in the dark, and her lungs burned from the cold air. She'd been gulping down for the past 3 miles. She'd barely caught her breath when the barn door opened. The man who stepped inside was enormous, well over 6 feet tall, with shoulders that seemed to fill the doorway. He held a lantern in one hand, and in its glow, Claire could see a face that was all hard lines and sharp angles, weathered by sun and wind. His dark eyes swept the barn and landed on her. Claire's heart hammered. She pressed back against the horse, knowing she had nowhere left to run. "Please," she whispered. "Please, don't send me back." Jack Morgan stood perfectly still, taking in the sight before him. A young woman, maybe 22 or 23, with the kind of refined features that spoke of money and breeding. Her dress, even torn and dirty, was expensive silk. She was terrified, injured, clearly running from something bad enough to risk dying in a snowstorm. He'd learned long ago not to ask too many questions of people in trouble. The Montana Territory attracted folks who needed to start over, and a smart man knew when to mind his own business. "You alone?" he asked, his voice a deep rumble. Claire nodded, not trusting herself to speak again without crying. Jack set the lantern on a post and moved closer, slow and careful, like he was approaching a spooked animal. "That blood fresh?" "I fell," she managed. "In the snow. I couldn't see." "Huh?" He knelt down beside her, and Claire flinched despite herself. Up close, he was even bigger, his hands rough and scarred from years of ranch work. But his touch, when he gently examined her injured leg, was surprisingly gentle. "It's not too deep," he said, "but you're half frozen and running a fever. How long you been out there?" "Since sunset. I walked from town." Jack's jaw tightened. That was 3 hours at least, in weather that could kill. "Anyone following you?" Claire's face crumpled. "My stepbrother, Richard Blackwell. He and his men. They'll be coming at first light, once the storm clears. He won't stop until he finds me." "Why is he hunting you?" "Because my father died last month and left everything to me. The ranch, the money, all of it. Richard was supposed to inherit, but father changed his will at the end. Richard said if I won't marry him and sign it all over, he'll make sure I have an accident, just like father did." Her voice broke. "He killed him. I know he did. And I'm next." Jack was quiet for a long moment, his face unreadable. Then he stood and held out his hand. "Come on. Let's get you inside, where it's warm. We'll figure out the rest." Claire took his hand, surprised by how steady it felt, how safe. He pulled her to her feet easily and supported her weight as they walked through the snow to his cabin. Inside, the house was simple but solid, built by a man who valued function over fancy. Jack settled Claire in a chair by the fire and brought her blankets, hot coffee, and medical supplies to clean her wounds properly. "You live here alone?" Claire asked, watching him work with competent efficiency. 5 years now. Had a wife once, but she passed in childbirth. The baby too. He said it matter of fact, but Claire heard the old pain underneath. Been just me and the horses since then. Most folks in town call me the hermit. Some call me the giant. I don't go into town much, and people leave me be. "I'm sorry," Claire said softly. "About your family." Jack shrugged, finishing the bandage on her leg. "Life's hard out here. You learn to carry what you can't change." He looked up at her. "This stepbrother of yours, he's got resources, men who'll help him search. Richard has money and no conscience. He'll tear this territory apart looking for me. And when he finds me, he'll drag me back and force me to marry him, or he'll kill me and claim I ran off and died in the snow. Either way, he wins." Jack stood and moved to the window, looking out at the falling snow. How many men does he usually travel with? 4 or 5. All of them mean. All of them loyal to him because he pays well. Here's what's going to happen, he said. When they come tomorrow, and they will come, you're going to be my wife. We got married quiet like last month in the next county over. You came to live with me, and that's the end of the story. Don't need to know you to know what's right. A man who'd kill his own kin for money and threaten a woman ain't fit to breathe the same air as decent folks. And I don't like bullies. His expression softened slightly. Besides, this house has been quiet too long. Wouldn't mind the company? Claire felt tears burning her eyes. If Richard finds out it's a lie, he'll kill you too. Let him try, Jack said simply. The next morning dawned cold and clear. Jack was in the barn when he heard horses approaching. 6 men, led by a slick-looking fellow in expensive riding clothes and a fur-lined coat. Richard Blackwell, no doubt, with his face that was all charm and cruelty mixed together. Jack stepped out of the barn, rifle casually resting in the crook of his arm. "Help you, gentlemen," he called out. Richard pulled up his horse, looking down at Jack with barely concealed contempt. "I'm looking for my sister. Young woman, auburn hair, probably half frozen. She ran off during the storm last night, and I'm worried sick about her, okay?" "So," Jack said mildly. "And you'd be?" "I don't believe you," Richard snarled. "Claire, get out here right now." The cabin door opened, and Claire stepped out, wearing one of the simple dresses Jack had dug out from his late wife's trunk. She walked to Jack's side, her chin up, her hand slipping into his. "Hello, Richard," she said quietly. "I'd say it's good to see you, but we both know I'd be lying." "What is this madness?" Richard demanded. "Claire, this man is obviously lying. You can't possibly be married to him." "But I am," Claire said, and her voice was stronger now, steadier. "Jack is my husband. This is my home, and I'm not going anywhere with you." Richard's face flushed red with rage. "Your father's will, my father's will, leaves everything to me," Claire interrupted. "And as Jack pointed out, what's mine is now his. You'll get nothing, Richard. Not 1 penny, not 1 acre. You killed father for nothing. How dare you accuse me?" Jack's rifle came up, not pointing at anyone exactly, but suddenly very present in the conversation. "I think you heard the lady. She's made her choice, and she's chosen to stay with me. Now you and your boys can turn around and ride back to town, or we can have a different kind of conversation. Your call." For a long moment, Richard stared at them, hatred burning in his eyes. But he wasn't stupid enough to draw on a man the size of Jack Morgan, who was already armed and ready. Finally, he jerked his horse around. "This isn't over," he spat. "Yeah, it is," Jack said calmly. "Don't come back here, Blackwell. Next time, I won't be so polite." Then Claire's knees buckled, and Jack caught her, holding her steady while she shook with relief and delayed fear. "It's all right," he murmured. "You're safe now. I've got you. We should probably make it legal," Claire said softly. "The marriage, in case Richard tries to challenge it." Jack looked at her, surprised. "You'd really want that? To be tied to a hermit rancher you barely know?" "You saved my life," Claire said simply. You stood between me and a man who wanted me dead, knowing it could get you killed too. You gave me shelter and safety and asked for nothing in return. That's more than most people get in a lifetime, let alone a day." She smiled slightly. "And besides, I've had a whole day to know you now. That's longer than some folks court before they wed." Jack couldn't help but smile back. "I suppose that's true. I don't have much to offer," Claire continued. "I'm no good at ranch work. I can barely cook, and I come with a stepbrother who wants me dead. But I can learn, and I'm not afraid of hard work. And maybe, eventually, this lie we told could become something real. Something neither of us expected, but both of us need." Jack reached out and took her hand, his rough fingers gentle against her smooth skin. "I think my wife might have been listening when she passed on. I think she might have sent you here, someone who needed help, and someone who could help me remember what it's like to care about something besides the next sunrise. Is that a yes?" Claire asked, her eyes bright. "That's a yes," Jack said, "on one condition. You stop calling it a lie. Starting now, it's just the truth we chose." They were married for real a week later by the circuit preacher, with 2 ranch hands as witnesses. Richard Blackwell tried to contest it, but the law was clear, and Jack Morgan's reputation as a man of his word carried weight even his money couldn't buy. That spring, when the snow melted and wildflowers covered the meadows, folks in town noticed that the hermit wasn't so lonely anymore. His wife could be seen working beside him, learning to ride and rope and garden. They'd see them in town together on Saturdays, Jack's big hand gentle on her back, Claire's laughter ringing out clear and genuine. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let someone help us when we're desperate. If this story moved you, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment about a time when a stranger's kindness changed your life.